So in this final part of the lecture, I just want to talk a little bit about the concepts of entrepreneurship and innovation, and also say a few words about corporate entrepreneurship. So let's start with the notion of entrepreneurship and innovation. One of the things we've already discussed in this unit is, are entrepreneurship and innovation the same thing? Are they different, or are they part of the same process? The way that I tend to think about it is that innovation is the tool that the entrepreneurs use to achieve their desired outcomes. So entrepreneurship is a process around creation of new value, of taking ideas to market. Whereas innovation tends to be the process by which we develop or come up with these new ideas and new concepts that we might take to market. So innovation is really important for driving change, but it doesn't exist in a vacuum. Without entrepreneurs and without entrepreneurial processes around it, those ideas really don't go beyond the idea stage. So if we're going to drive entrepreneurial activity, it's important that within an organisation that we have processes that support innovation, that encourage people to innovate. And the way that we do that is through things like having a research and development program. R&D is a critical part of coming up with new ideas and new ventures, identifying a range of products that might be more attractive to consumers in the future. So certainly research is a critical part of the phase, and also this process of ideation. Ideation is all about coming up with new ideas, generating concepts that we can then further develop and expand upon as we go into a marketing stage. So again, developing products, being entrepreneurial was really linked to these areas of research and ideation. But we should remember that on its own, research does not necessarily mean you get innovation. You might conduct a lot of research and not actually come up with any new ideas. So again, there's got to be support for innovation, there's got to be support for research, but you need these entrepreneurial processes around it to make sure that it actually develops into a commercialisable product. I also just want to touch on this notion of corporate entrepreneurship. So we talked earlier in this lecture about entrepreneurship in general, so entrepreneurship that happens within individuals or within... We haven't really talked about the notion of entrepreneurship that happens within an existing business venture. So corporate entrepreneurship is really the process of entrepreneurship that happens within a going concern, that happens within an existing business. And what we see is that one of the ways that many existing businesses can grow and develop and take advantage of opportunities is by engaging internally in the process of corporate entrepreneurship. Now, corporate entrepreneurship can really be classified along two dimensions or two elements. The first type of corporate entrepreneurship we might see is where we engage in a process of making new combinations of productive assets that establish a new venture or a new product that we're able to sell into the market. So this sort of frontline innovation is really about reconfiguring what we currently do in some way that's new or unique or novel and that will be attractive potentially to a market. The second type of corporate entrepreneurship is more of a top-down approach. And this top-down approach is really about making wholesale change to the organisation as a whole. So changing the way the organisation is structured, changing the culture of the organisation, changing the value and the mission of the organisation and where they see their competitive future actually being. In a sense, sometimes we see corporate entrepreneurship in this form, this top-down approach, also referred to as intrapreneurship, internal change and develop that's about producing difference within the organisation. So this approach is much more wide scale and involves the whole organisation. But broadly, when we talk about corporate entrepreneurship, what we're really talking about is this process of entrepreneurship within an existing business venture. And in fact, a lot of you are most likely to engage in entrepreneurial processes through the lens of corporate entrepreneurship. So when we engage in corporate entrepreneurship, what we tend to see is there's a bit of a process, a bit of a series of steps or stages that people actually go through over time to actually engage in entrepreneurial activity. And what this figure does here is actually summarise for us what the entrepreneurial process actually looks like and the steps and stages that are engaged in that entrepreneurial process. So the process tends to start with external corporate venturing. So it tends to be driven by an external change in the market where we see others around us engaging in some sort of new competitive activity or maybe we ourselves are actually developing some new external product that we sell into the market. And so because of this, because there's a change in our external environment, this leads to a more top-level appreciation of the need for strategic renewal. So strategic renewal is about realigning the organisation with the new operating environment, changing and adapting the business in certain key ways that enable us to more effectively take advantages of opportunities in this new market environment. So once we've gone through strategic renewal, we then engage in an internal process of entrepreneurship, of making changes in terms of structures and processes within the organisation, and also looking at ways to develop new products that we might actually take out to the market to try and capture new forms of value. Out of that entrepreneurial process comes a process of internal corporate venturing. So internal corporate venturing is this process by which we as an organisation will look at growing and developing a new strategic business unit, a new venture that the organisation sets up and runs with its own unique resources and markets that it operates in and competes in. And then because of that, because we're changing and opening up new markets and new areas of operation, this tends to lead to a process of broader cultural renewal. So the overall culture of the organisation has to adapt and change to stay relevant in this market. Now, corporate entrepreneurship is not without its challenges. As you can appreciate, organisations are like a social ecosystem. They have in place already existing power relationships, people have existing roles and responsibilities, and people have key levels of importance within that organisation. So whenever we try and engage in a process of corporate entrepreneurship, what we do tend to find is there is a lot of internal organisational resistance to this change process. And so, as we've seen from that progress diagram previously, we have to very carefully manage that process of entrepreneurship if it's going to happen effectively over time. And what we need to see for corporate entrepreneurship to work is commitment to this entrepreneurial process throughout the organisation, but certainly for it to be led by senior management. We must have senior managers in place who have the entrepreneurial skills and abilities required to drive change within the organisation. However, this progress of corporate entrepreneurship is not always positive, and in fact, sometimes it can be very unsuccessful. And again, there's a number of reasons why corporate entrepreneurship might not succeed. The first reason is often that we simply mismanage the process. We need to remember that the skills that a manager needs to run an existing venture or an existing business are actually quite different from the skills they need to manage a new venture or a new type of business. And so as a result, we might have a misalignment between the skills that we have in-house and our ability to manage in this new context. We might find that the organisation and the management team within it are too risk averse, that their attitude toward risk is quite high, and they don't really want to put the organisation into a situation where they might be exposed to risk. Unfortunately, entrepreneurial behaviour does require risk, and there's a lot of fear involved in actually taking that step into a risky environment. And so as a result, if you don't have the right sort of people, you'll never make that progress. Another problem is that the culture might be inappropriate. So we might not have the right type of culture in place to enable us or encourage us to engage in corporate entrepreneurship. Culture is a critical important part of making people work effectively within the organisation. And unless you have an entrepreneurial culture within the organisation, then that's going to become very difficult. And we might be involving the wrong managers or the wrong people in this process. So again, it's very important that we make sure we have the right managers involved in entrepreneurial activity. And so from time to time, it's important for us to undertake an entrepreneurial health audit of the entire organisation. And organisations should do this pretty regularly. They should have a look at what is our entrepreneurial capacity. Do we have the right sort of people, the right sort of processes, the right sort of culture and values in place within our organisation that will facilitate the process of entrepreneurial behaviour? And if we don't, what could we do to ensure that we bring those sorts of skills into the organisation? So doing this sort of health check really should be done before we start going down the path of entrepreneurial behaviour. If we really don't have a sense of where we're at as an organisation, we may engage in entrepreneurship to the detriment of our business. Okay, so making this health check becomes really important. And we know that entrepreneurship is a very powerful tool in business and in society. Entrepreneurial behaviour does tend to drive economic growth. Entrepreneurs create new value, new products, new services that people put a high premium on and are willing to pay money for. And so that act of selling these new products creates opportunities. It creates jobs for people, it starts new businesses, it provides new tax revenue, and overall people's standard of living improves and gets better over time. So entrepreneurship is really critical to growing and developing the economic base. And entrepreneurship and innovation is really critical to an individual business being able to grow and develop as an organisation. What we know is that, again, internally, entrepreneurial activities lead the organisation to pursue new and different market opportunities. And so by engaging in this entrepreneurial process, we're able to grow and develop our organisation. We know that entrepreneurship is really critical for being able to attract investors. Okay, so if we're an organisation that's is seen as being good at entrepreneurial behaviour, what will happen is over time people want to invest in our organisation, and also people will be attracted to work for us. Managers, frontline staff like to work in organisations that have this positive entrepreneurial culture. And we need to remember that entrepreneurship within an organisational and individual context is actually planned behaviour. Okay, it involves people going through a series of activities over time to achieve a successful outcome. The problem is maintaining the energy and activity levels as people move through that particular process. So in summary, we've talked a little bit about what entrepreneurship is, and really the ideas that we talked about here are expanded upon and discussed in far greater detail in Chapter 8 of the required text, and I'd strongly encourage that you have a look at it. So while it's important for us to understand that entrepreneurship is important and the role that it plays in society, we need to also be mindful of the fact that there are some characteristics that seem to be linked to entrepreneurship, but there's not one best type of entrepreneur that will be suited to all different situations. And in fact, it's almost like there's a link between the context and the type of skills that the people need to possess. We also know that corporate entrepreneurship is very important, that entrepreneurial activity within an existing business is a very important part of that business continuing to grow and develop over time. So if you want to find out more about this topic of what entrepreneurship is, I'd strongly encourage you to have a look at Chapter 8 of the textbook. In addition, I would look at Chapter 1 from Deacon and Friels, which I've also put into the Milo folder for you to have a bit of a look at. That gives you a little bit of a overview of some of the historical evolutions and developments in the field of entrepreneurship over time, and talks about how the concept of entrepreneurship has emerged and developed. Apart from that, if you've got any questions at all about this particular topic, if there's anything you'd like to understand, please feel free to contact me. I'm more than happy to talk to you. Apart from that, all the best, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye for now.